God is love, and love must love. And to love, there must be a beloved. But since God is existence, infinite and eternal, there is no one for him to love but himself. And in order to love himself, God must imagine himself as the beloved, whom he, as the lover, imagines he loves. Beloved and lover implies separation, and separation creates longing, and longing causes search. And the wider and the more intense the search, the greater the separation, and the more terrible the longing. When longing is most intense, separation is complete, and the purpose of separation, which was that love might experience itself as lover and beloved, is fulfilled. And union follows. And when union is attained, the lover knows that he himself was all along the beloved whom he loved and desired union with, and that all the impossible situations that he overcame were obstacles which he himself had placed in the path to himself. To attain union is so impossibly difficult because it is impossible to become what you already are. Union is nothing other than knowledge of oneself as the only one. Avatar Meher Baba.
Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Buddha, Shiva Brahm, Hare Jesus, Allah Sham, Meher Baba, Baba Jan, Hari 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 Napi Hari God Jehovah Saikutubi Rishad Zoroaster Narayan Meher Baba Tajudan Hari, 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 Hari Nanak, Shamsi Tabriz, Ramakrishna, Hari Hafiz, Jalaluddin Upazani, Meherabad Kabirji, Hari, 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 Hari Yahweh, Hari Lao Tzu, Hari Ramana, Dukkha Vishnu, Mahavira, Hari Tara, Meher Baba, Ganesha, Hari, Hari, Hari. Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Meher Baba. 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 Meher Baba, Avatar, Lord of Love, Parvardigar, Preserver, Protector of everyone. Meher Baba, Father, Son. Meher Baba, God and friend, without beginning, without end, beyond compare and duality. Meher Baba, divinity. Who can measure you? Who can measure you? Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Meher Baba. 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 Hari Para, Matma Allahu Ramazda, God Yesdan Babahu. Hari Paramatma Allahu Ramaz, God Yesdan Babahu. Hari, 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 Hari Chisti, Paramhansa, Hari Kalyan, Nirvikalpan, Khwaja Kazir, Messiah. Meher Baba, Premakasha. Meher Baba, never born, without color, expression, form, attributeless, beyond our grasp. Meherabad, here at last. Meherabad, limitless, beyond imagination or concepts. You're eternal, you never die. Meherabad, in each heart's sigh. Who can measure you? Who can measure you? Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Meher, 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 Hari Para, Matmala, Huramazda, God Yazdan Babahu, Hari Paramatmala Ahuramaz, God Yazdan Babahu, Hari 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 Gandhi, Mahatattva, Holy of Holies, Milarepa, Parabrahma, Maharasul, Meherabad, Mukammil, Meherabad, purest wine. None can see you but with eyes divine. You always were and ever will be. Meher Baba, ever free. Meher Baba, everywhere, beyond all things, yet always here, in the firmament and in the depths. Meher Baba, manifest. Who can measure you? Who can measure you? Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Meher, 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 Hari Para, Matmala, Huramazda, God Yazdan Babahu, Hari Paramatmala Ahuramaz, God Yazdan Babahu, Hari 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 Ramdas, Anal Haq, Jivan Mukta, Madzubiyat, Hari Jami Maharaj, Meherabad Bakabila Meherabad unmanifest on all plains and beyond their grasp, in the three worlds and beyond them too. Meherabad in me and you. Meherabad, Lord of Lords, independent, God's own reward, the creator of hearts and minds. Meherabad, beyond all times. Who can measure you? Who can measure you? Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Meher Baba. 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 Hari Para Matma Allahu Ramazda Gari Estan Babahu Hari Paramatma Allahu Ramaz Gari Estan Babahu Hari Hari Akmal Advaita Shankaracharya Swarupa King of Kings Shivatma Meherabad Fanafila Meherabad Satchidanand, ocean of knowledge and all beyond. You're all mercy, benevolent. Meherabad, heaven sent. Meherabad, soul of souls, infinite player of all the roles, the source of truth and the ocean of love. Meherabad, God above. Who can measure you? Who can measure you? Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Meher Baba. 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 Hari Para Matma Allahu Ramazda Gari Estan Babahu Hari Paramatma Allahu Ramaz Gari Estan Babahu Hari 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 Ishtar, Oduduwa, Unkulu Kulu, Wangti, Meherabad, Ya Azali, Meherabad, highest of the high, Ahura Mazda, Parameshwar, beyond God and beyond that too, Meherabad, Allah Prabhu, Meherabad, the ancient one, Elahi and Parabram, Yezadan and Izan, Meherabad, beloved God, the only one worthy of worship. Who can measure you? Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Nirvana. 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 Hari Para, Matma, Allahura Mazda, God Yezdan Babahu, Hari Paramatma, Allahura Mazda, God Yezdan Babahu, Hari 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 Bhagwan, Elohim, Guru Deva, Odin, Satanam Nami Hedeke, Meherabad, Hari Bate, Hari 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 Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Nirvana. 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 Hari Paramatma, Ahura Mazda, God Yezdan Babahu. Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Nirvana. 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 Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Meher, Baba. Zoroaster, Rama, 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 Krishna.
Another thing I thought about this morning, I've told you the last joke that was said to Baba and the last cartoon that was shown to Baba, the last song that was played to Baba. In his room, because I took the gramophone. I was the one that played the gramophone for Baba and the radio for Baba. The radio usually was Voice of America or the Pakistan Ghazals. But in the latter days, Baba had me bring the gramophone into his room and play. And I now realize that it was also another message for us. This wasn't a song that has been composed by a great one of the past. Either Tukaram or Gnanish, or one of the perfect masters of the old times. I forget the name. But the song was, call him with attributes, call him without attributes. With attributes, without attributes is the same. Is the same one, is the same one. With form, call him with form, call him without form. With form and without form is the one God. Seen, call him visible, call him invisible. Visible and invisible are the one God. Saguna manoki nirguna re, saguna nirguna ek govinda re, ek govinda re. Akar manoki nirakar re, akar nirakar ek govinda re, ek govinda re. And it suddenly came to me this morning that that's also a message. Whether I'm seen, whether I'm not seen, whether you can relate to me physically or not, I am the same one. I am the one, without a second. I am with you. Yeah. Now, just around that time, I had my first dream at home in Pune. I had my first dream of God. And I told this dream to Baba later. I knew my brother is God, but to me, at that age, avatar, perception of the word avatar, the meaning, it could not be understood or even thought of by me. So I had my first dream which made me realize it. I dreamt that I was my age at the time I had the dream, which could be about 7, 6, 8, 7. And I dreamt that I was up in the skies on this big, beautiful white cloud. I was sitting at the edge of the cloud, and my legs were dangling over. And before me, on the cloud, was seated this tremendous being, this huge man. He had not a stitch of clothing on him. He had nothing on. But he didn't seem naked in the sense a human would. And he was seated there, and I was here, and I had this lovely white, lacy, starched dress with a pink bow in my hair, and I was hoping he was noticing my lovely dress. So I was straightening it and looking at him, and then as I looked at him, he seemed friendly, you know. So I asked him, I said, "Why haven't you got any clothes on?" And he smiled at me, and he pointed. So I looked over the edge of the cloud, and a little below it, in space, was this clothesline. and on it were little babies' clothes with pegs on it. Diapers, vests, little things. A tiny clothes of a baby were hanging on the line. And I said to myself, goodness gracious, he couldn't possibly fit into that. It must be a terribly uncomfortable and painful fit. Must be very uncomfortable for him. But I knew it was his clothes because there was nobody else up there. Just him and me watching and the clothesline, that's all. So as I think, ooh, it must be so uncomfortable for him to get into those clothes. And I look at him, and he has been looking at me the meanwhile. And all he did was nod, just give a nod to confirm what I had thought. And then I had this clear voice in my mind. Said, yes, I wear these clothes. I put on these clothes when I come among you as men. Eruch will be surprised that I've added this, but I came across an old letter in 1956. I had written this dream to somebody, and so it has helped my memory, reading it the other day, that there was more to it than I've usually described. So that was my first dream of God. Is it all right if I look at the clock?
You told Baba this dream?
Huh?
You told Baba about this dream?
This dream, later on, sometimes Baba would ask, at least he has asked me, sleep well? I said, yes, Baba. What did you see? What dream? This means dream. Dream. This sleep and seeing means dream. What did you dream? So I would say, well, I didn't dream anything last night, Baba. But then I'd recall some dreams that I've had during my life. Some have been so significant and so different, so vivid and outstanding, so I would relate them. Very good, I would say. Huh?
मेरा भाई जान ठहर तू भगवान जगन खातर प्रेम खातर बनियो तू इंसान मेरा भाई जान ठहर तू भगवान. My beloved brother, you are God. For the sake of love, for the sake of the world, you put on man form and skin.
I decided that questions and answers. So questions, of course, think about that. Before that, I just want to say something. Here is Suhas Ram Ginde. So last week, of course, I had told you about his father, Dr. Ram Ginde. So Dr. Ram Ginde, of course you know, but one touching incident took place when Baba was in critical condition. Of course, Baba would always allow him when he would go to Guru Prasad, and every week he would come to see Baba, and he would remain there for 3 days. But then, when Baba was in strict seclusion, Baba had told him not to come. And it was January. Baba was in a very critical condition, but the order was there. Dr. Ram Ginde from Bombay, he would come to Meherabad, he would not see anyone. He would take 5 rounds of Meherabad and go away. Nobody knew that he would do every week. Every week he would come, take 5 rounds of Meherabad and go away. Did not disturb Baba, did not break his order, and that is Ram Ginde. And this is the reason, the day when Baba dropped his body, just Ram Ginde whether Dr. Ram Ginde arrived. And what happens? He came on 31st. On 30th January, Dr. Grant from Pune was called. And when Dr. Grant came, he examined Baba and he says, Baba, you are all right. And he brought his own problem about his foundation. And Baba solved his problem. Then two nurses were there. They also put up before Baba their problems. And Baba solved the problem. At that time, Baba was just glorious. Nothing, no spasm, nothing. So when he went back, and next day the order was there to Dr. Ram Ginde that you must see first Dr. Grant in Pune and then come to me. So Dr. Ram Ginde went to Pune to see Dr. Grant. And he said, oh, yesterday I went there, I saw Baba, don't worry. He is all right, you must have breakfast. But Dr. Ram Ginde, he would not like that, but he praised him. Yesterday I went there and I saw him, he's all right, don't worry, have breakfast. And that's why he was 15 minutes late that day. And 3 times Baba asked whether Dr. Ram Ginde arrived. Alova was sent to the pumping station to phone Adi that whether Dr. Ram Ginde has arrived. If he has not, then as soon as he comes, to bring him to me. But then 15 minutes late because of Dr. Grant. But how fortunate that at the time of dropping his body, he remembered. Here, what happens? We remember. Baba says that one who remembers at the time of his last breathing, he comes to me. Here, God himself remembers him. When he was dropping the body, how fortunate Dr. Ram Ginde was. And Baba would like him very much, very much. Now this Ghazal, she read out, she sang. This was the Ghazal written by one poet, his name was Seemab. And it was 1958 when there was Sahwas program. And of course one day there was this Qawwali program, is Ghazal singing. So that team of singers, it was there and they started singing this Ghazal. अब क्या बताऊं मैं तुझे तेरे मिलने से क्या मिला, means how can I tell others what I found when I met you. So this is really very good Ghazal. And then when he was singing, Baba just stopped. And he was just 3 minutes very, very quiet. And he says, afterwards he says, I gave liberation to Seemab. This Ghazal, when it was sung to him, it is his will. He can do anything, not that anything when he is in that mood. So he says, I give liberation to Seemab. Now Seemab, he died long ago. He must have taken another birth. But he gave him, nobody would know that Seemab was given the liberation. That person who was there at that time, after Seemab, he must have gotten the liberation. So this Ghazal, of course, anything for Baba, it is just nothing, it depends upon his mood. And that's why I always say that we have no idea how fortunate we are that we have come in his contact. It is he who has brought us in his contact. What he is doing for us, no one knows. We just gather together. And he also feels pleased that, oh, my lovers gathered together, they are there. Baba has said in 1962, when there was East-West gathering. So he said that gathering 6,000 people, 7,000 people were there. Baba says, when my lovers, they gather together, what happens? I open the door of my infinite heart and my love flows towards them.
Now coming to the last days, so Dr. Ginde was who loved Baba very much, and he was famous in India, a neurologist. He had come, and so there is another long story.
That's not the last days there. That came from.
He had come, and it was a horrible thing what had happened. So that's how he was, and he would come and all that time and again. So the last that he was there, Baba told him, be sure to come on 31st, but not after 12, before 12. Some days before that, to that Dr. Ginde. So he said, yeah, I'll come. So I'm dressing his body and all that. And prior to that, what he said was, all the time he just did that. And yes, he did not return. I speak out loudly whenever his signals are there. He did not return. I just continue. After about 10-15 minutes, again he died down. He did not return. I thought that it's a delirium, in a delirious state of mind or whatever you call it. Baba is not feeling well, I don't know what he wants to say. He did not return means what? And then, third time, he says, he did not return, but I shall return. Oh, I said, that's because of the Dalai Lama, the story that now comes, you see, that's how it comes. So what happened is that we used to tell jokes, and Baba would sometimes enjoy and all that. And of course I was the one who would be interpreting, so he wouldn't ask me to tell a joke. But one day I got a thought that in case if he asks me to tell a joke, I'm not the person to tell jokes. I can't even laugh properly. I don't know why. I'm not that type of person. So I get a thought, but in case if he tells me, I should remain prepared for what to say, what to do, and that very day, a Gujarati magazine comes into my hand. It was known as Kaisar-e-Hind. And in that had appeared a passage there with a photo of Dalai Lama and all that, who was there in Tibet for years together. So some 500 or some years ago, he had come there and he was staying in a little room over there in Tibet, and he had his great followers, a great large number of followers. And one day he came there, he sat on his bed, and he got up and said, he just went out and said, I'll be coming back, I'll be returning. And since that day he has not returned. So the man writes that from that day onwards, they necessarily keep the room tidy, so they sweep the room, the dust that has gathered there, and if it had to be collected, it would have been a small hillock. The bed sheets and other clothes that are needed there, they change and they wash and all that. By this time it will be a big cloth shop, you see. And many things there.
And if the water that was changed from all the jugs would make a little,
drinking and all that,
would make a sea.
It would have been a pool, you see, and all that, and so forth and so on. So I thought that's a great joke, you know. So I thought, well, this will happen. So sure enough, in a couple of days, he asked me, you don't have a joke?